Yep.
Hey everybody, this is JW Collier. I'm from Stop Writing and my Sober Militia blog. I'm here with Bobby C today. We are going to talk a little bit about some controversial topics we've been hearing a lot about and would like to expound on a little bit. Um, uh, Bobby and I met basically through Twitter. We kind of saw some of the stuff that each other was doing on their posts. And I think Bobby reached out to me first and I reached back. We thought we had some kind of similar interests and thoughts about, alcoholism and sobriety, and thought we might want to collaborate and see what we can do together. So this is our first time coming together and seeing how it goes. But first, I'd like to introduce you to Bobby C and let him tell you a little bit about him.
Hello, audience. My name is Bobby C. Friend in recovery and beyond. I like that title, and I kind of stick with it. I'm over here in Huntington Beach, California. The weather's been great. I just hope everybody has been safe at home and everybody's healthy and stay safe. But yeah, John and I hooked up, and we're going to discuss, I guess, the disease of alcoholism and what people's feelings are about that concept. So I've been around for 36 years in recovery, and John and I just happened to hook up, and I think these podcasts are going to help us and help others. So I'm going to give it back to John.
Yeah, I think one of the things we really liked when we first started talking was the idea that, Bobby's been in recovery for 35 years and I'm more on the new side of things. So I just kind of started this year. In fact, it was in January, so I'm about 4 months in. And what happened for me was I dove into this head first, found it was something that was life-changing for me, and I just loved every aspect of it. It's been really easy for me, and that's been something I've been writing a lot about. So one of the kind of deals I made with myself when I quit drinking was I was going to start writing every day about it, just about my experience. And so I started a blog day one of quitting alcohol, and I was going to write for 30 days just to kind of keep myself in check. And I did that, and 30 days ended, and I was like, I want to keep writing. So I kept writing. I went to 101 days and finished that, wrote every day for 101 days. And I'm going to take that, do something a little bit different with it. And now I'm kind of moving forward with my own stuff and with my website and my Sober Militia blog, and doing some meetings through that. And then Bobby and I started talking, and we're like, hey, let's move this a little bit further and see what we can do with it. So one of our favorite things about this was we have this vast range in experience. Bobby's been 35 years sober. I'm 4 months sober. We're just as excited about it, and we both share this passion for wanting to reach other people and help other people find their paths in sobriety. So one of the first things that came up the first time we talked was the idea of, well, in fact, I think Bobby asked me the question when we were trying to kind of figure each other out and figure out if we were going to work together. And he said, what's your thought on, alcoholism and it being labeled as a disease? And so we talked about that a little bit, and I've written about it a little bit more, and Bobby, I know, has talked about it on some of his podcasts. But we thought it'd be a good subject to discuss a little further today. So, Bobby, what's your thought right now? Where you stand with this? Because I know it is a controversial topic. A lot of beliefs on this one. Where are you at?
You know what, John, I like to just say, I always start out by giving a disclaimer. And the disclaimer is that what I'm about to say comes from my ideas, my beliefs, my research, my conscious awareness of what I discovered. I'm not here to try to impose my beliefs on anyone else. It's just what I've learned. And I always try to encourage people to think, question, become aware, and observe any society or any group that they join. And that's I just like to put that out. But alcoholism, the disease concept, for me today, okay, I kind of like evolved like a lot of people. I really was attracted to John because John and I are the same, really. We have the exact same time, which is now. Okay, in we're recovered. I'm recovered from alcohol addiction and drug addiction. I'm recovered. Drink or drug, so I'm recovered. Uh, but I'm in recovery from really life and learning more about life. So I'm still in recovery in a sense that I'm learning about life. But the only difference between John and I is that I have some experience, more experience, and it could be, it is good and bad experience. It's not all good. It's good and bad experience. All it is life experience because I'm older and I've been in recovery longer. But as far as John and I are concerned, I believe we're all the same as far as time-wise. We all have the same time, right now. I believe in now. And you want to talk anything about that before I go on, John?
No, I think it's really important though, because there is a lot of stipulations about, where people are in their sobriety, and a lot of pride in those, in, like how many days and how many years and all this, that we talk about all the time. But, the big picture is if you're in it at all, then you're doing the work, right? It doesn't matter if it's a day or week, month or year. I think it's, you are making those conscious efforts, and that's, you'll find out a little bit later why this is so important to me. But I think it affects how we approach our own issues with alcoholism. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. I'm on the same page with that. Getting right to is alcoholism a disease? First, this is, like I said, this is only my perspective. This is my understanding and my reality today. I don't call myself alcoholic anymore. I stopped. I don't have a disease of alcoholism anymore. I stopped labeling myself. I don't believe in the disease concept. I don't believe I'm diseased. I don't believe I'm powerless over uh, much of anything. A lot of things I am, but I'm not powerless over alcohol unless it goes in my body. And if it goes in my body, I probably will be powerless over it. But I'm not. I can walk down an aisle in a shopping center with alcohol, and it doesn't attract me. Today, alcohol, I don't really. I think about drinking alcohol because I have such a desire for abstinence. I think of using alcohol would be like, to me, drinking poison. And actually, I don't think about drinking poison today. It's almost like about drinking Clorox. No, I don't. And alcohol to me is poison, just to me. Now, that might not be to somebody else, because I'm not here to tell anybody how or what to believe, because there's a lot of different types of modalities. Harm reduction, I believe in it. Smart recovery, I believe in it. The freedom model, I really truly believe that's going to work for somebody. The Sinclair method, I believe it works. AA, believe it or not, AA will work. NA works, okay? No program, your own program works. Actually, I think that really, in a sense, that everybody has their own program. We just give this credit to this society or group of people that has pointed us in a way. But I believe actually we all create our own programs. And I believe that if all the programs work, that means none of them specifically work. That means that they all come from inside of us. So I believe that we create our destiny, we create our program, and help is the pointer, but I believe we are the way. But getting back, you want to say anything on that, John?
Yeah, no, I'm just kind of listening and thinking about what's some of the experiences I've had already along those lines, that I'll want to talk about as we move forward here. But no, I appreciate what you're saying.
Okay, so to get back to the disease concept, today I choose not to label myself, and I believe that's a choice. It's first of all, I asked a few questions. I like to ask questions. Like I said in the beginning, I like to think, I like to question, I like to observe. So the questions that I would ask would be like, what would I be doing different? And the answer to me would be nothing. I'd be doing nothing different. Another question is, who told me I had this disease? Who diagnosed me? No one. Back when I came in, I didn't even know what a rehab was. All I heard was alcoholism. You're an alcoholic. So when I came in, I was labeled right from the get-go. I was an alcoholic. But who actually diagnosed me? And they told me that this was a self-diagnosed disease. So if it's self-diagnosed, that means I can undiagnose myself. I'm not an alcoholic, So I like asking questions because some programs, especially the one I lived in for many, many years, more years than I was drinking, or more years than I was alive, to tell you the truth. I came in Alcoholics Anonymous when I was 2 years old. And I'm not going to tell you how old I am right now, but I'm getting old. Okay. And I watch out for labels today. I watch out for words because I find out that words and labels and phrases cast spells upon my brain. I found out that, like I said earlier, I'm in recovery from life and the world. So what I'm learning today is how the brain works, how society is manipulated through the television, or any type of manipulation. And so I kind of like to search. They say, "Seek and you shall find," or the truth will set you free. And I believe that. So I watch out for labels. I don't label myself anymore. I'm not an atheist agnostic. I don't even label myself atheist agnostic. Even the word spiritual, which I believe I am, I believe I'm a spiritual being. But the word spiritual can be dogmatic in itself. So I know we need words, and I'm just careful that I don't repeat them over and over again for you to label me in such a way, because people will label me, but I got to be careful of me not labeling myself.
Yeah.
Anything you could touch on that,
Yeah,
John?
I think that's the biggest one for me. I think the idea of this label is why it bothers me personally so much. Because, when I wrote about this recently, and when I looked up the definition, by definition, it makes sense why someone would want to call alcoholism a disease, and I actually have it right here. One of the definitions is a particular quality, habit, or disposition regarded as adversely affecting a person or group of people. By definition, that's fine. I can see why someone would want to put it in that, in that group. The struggle I have with the labeling of disease for alcoholism is the negative connotation that it brings up. Because to me, as soon as I think about being diseased, I think about something that has taken over me that I cannot, that I had no part in. And I think once we think that way, then I think we kind of allow ourselves, I don't know, to take the easy way out a little bit, to kind of let that be our crutch. Hey, I have this disease. That's why it's so hard. That's why it's going the way it's going, because I have this thing. And I just don't, I just don't like that verbiage. To me, I'd rather just be honest about it and say the truth, which is, when you first had your first drink, you didn't have a disease, right? You made a choice to drink that drink, and you made probably thousands more choices to make that same choice to have a drink over the years before it really started to affect you, maybe in a negative way. And so there's a lot of time built up to this point when you decided, wait, there's something wrong here. There's a problem I got to deal with. And then you start dealing with it. And I think the easiest way to deal with it at that point is to recognize that you made that choice originally, and that you still have the power and the control to make that choice the opposite way and choose not to drink. And I think that, to me, is why it's so important to be careful about what we label this as, because I think that we can give it a lot of power, and I know there's a lot of talk about power and everything in this world. But I think, if we focus more on the power being ours and within ourselves, I think we automatically give ourselves a leg up in how we're going to approach it and how we're going to look at it, and then ultimately beat it. So yeah, the label part for me is a big deal. I really struggle with that idea.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of people do. So when the labeling guilt, even though research has shown that alcoholism is a choice. I mean, there's research out there now that says that it shows that it's a choice, not a disease. And stripping away abusers of the choice by applying the disease concept is a threat to the health of the individual. The disease concept was actually originated in the 1800s, really. What I've learned about the beginning of the disease concept, a woman, one of the first women that came into Alcoholics Anonymous, her name was Marty Mann. She kind of hooked up with a scientist. His name was Jenkins, I think, Jenkins. And then they hooked up with the Smithers Foundation, and his whole idea was for treatment centers. So I can get into that depth more of that, but I see it was designed for a reason. There was an agenda, and actually it was a hidden agenda, and the agenda was money. Actually, if you really follow the money trail, the recovery industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. It is. I mean, you can look it up. It's a known fact. And there's a lot of money in the disease concept, treatment centers. Everybody that goes to a treatment center, they get on the treatment center. There's only one monopoly model, which is a 12-step model. That's a monopoly. It's a hierarchy pyramid monarchy, monopoly. And when you go into a treatment center, they teach you the 12-step model. And who's teaching you that is usually people that became counselors from Alcoholics Anonymous. They became counselors, and they're teaching the 12-step model. And it's a cycle because they'll send you to Alcoholics Anonymous. And that is where the disease concept, it's kind of like a cycle. It's like a cycle, and it's an in and out cycle. If you ask a lot of people how many treatment centers they went to, a lot of them say 2 or 3, some say 4. I know people have been to 5 or 6 of them, treatment centers. And they all send you to the same place, and they say it's for free. But today, I don't believe it's really free. If it takes the freedom of choice away from you, it's really interfering with your body, mind, and spirit. And it kind of eliminates your responsibility and puts the responsibility on a society, which is Alcoholics Anonymous. I can get into that really in depth, but today the ism, they place an ism, ISM is ism, alcoholism. And alcoholism is it's an ideology, it's a system, and it's an idea, and it's a basis of an economic policy. And an ism is like a distinctive practice, system, or philosophy, typically an ideology of a artistic movement. And Alcoholics Anonymous is a movement, but I see that changing. In the next 10 years, this whole thing, I don't even think the disease concept will be so far from our consciousness will be because there's so many modalities now that are science-based and talking about the power of choice and the power of freedom to choose. And I see the young people's consciousness are becoming more open and becoming more aware. And that's why I was attracted to you, John, because after all, the time that you have in recovery, it's amazing. You know, it blows my mind. It's amazing. And if you can do it, that means other people can do it.
Exactly.
Okay. And you're creating your own program, and you've stated that, and you are, and you're helping others, you know, to do the same thing. And you're writing, you're journaling, you're blogging, you're setting me on fire. You're regenerating my desire for sobriety even more. Uh, I'll tell you the truth. I was traditional Alcoholics Anonymous. I was losing will to expand my journey, you know, and I needed people like you, like Beyond Belief, and Smart Recovery, and to know that there's recovery, Dharma, all these other recoveries, and to know that we're creating our own. You know,
Yeah.
we're actually creating our own.
Yeah, that was one of the things that really kind of got me going on this was, as I said earlier, that I felt my experience has been pretty easy, and I've been playing with that a little bit in my mind because as I got more introduced into this world and meeting people going through, you know, their own recoveries and finding their paths and everything, and I'm hearing so many different stories, and there doesn't seem to be a middle. I tend to hear the people who found it to be easy and the people who found it to be hard. And so I'm actually starting to kind of think about that as an idea that, you know, there's a difference between the easy and hard sobriety. And one of the things you touched on there that I think really plays into this is that idea of hard sobriety. I think that all comes from how we're looking at it, right? And that labeling piece, you know. And if I think of something as a disease, there are incurable diseases. And if I think of alcoholism as a disease that I can't cure, then that means I have to stay in some sort of a program the rest of my life, right? And that terrifies me a little bit, you know, because I think, you know, I'd like to be here, like talking to you, writing my blog because it's a choice of mine, because it's something I'm choosing to do, because it feels good, or it feels like that's where I need to be, or that I get to meet people and hear their stories or help people in some way, but not because I have to do it because I have a disease, right? And I think that might be a little bit of where I've been kind of leaning towards this hard and easy sobriety thing. You know, I think, you know, if you go into anything thinking it's going to be lifelong, that's going to suck. You know what I mean? There's no way around that. You're not going to enjoy that. It's not going to feel good. It's going to be a rough road, you know, but I think if you can go into something feeling like, hey, this is going to be, you know, new, I'm going to have to work some things out. But if I work them out correctly, it's not going to be that big a deal. And in fact, I'm going to feel pretty friggin' awesome about myself and what I'm doing, and just want to go out and have fun with it, and spread the word and talk to people, and try to help other people find that same, easy sobriety. And so that's what I'm doing here, Bobby. I mean, that's it, you know?
Yeah, no, I can sense that, feel it, and I appreciate that, and you're going to help a lot of people. I'll just touch base on that middle ground a little bit.
Okay.
Let's just say that, forget the word recovery, okay? Of course, we've recovered. We're not drinking or drugging, so alcohol is not a problem right now, okay? Let's just say life is the problem, okay? Not that it's a problem, but life is the situation. So I have good days and bad days in life. So that's the middle ground for me,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah, that's fair. I like that.
It's fair, right?
Yeah.
Is everything going to be, you know, staying positive all the time, there's a downside to that, because then you're not in reality sometimes. You're trying to force yourself. It's almost like forcing yourself into a program, like you're forcing the time is the
Yeah.
way to go. There's no question about that. The solution is trying to stay positive. And I have a desire. You spoke in one of your uh, days about why it's the yearning, and a yearning is a desire. A
Yeah.
desire means a wanting. It's a wanting. It's a yearning. Uh, it's a feeling of wanting something. It's the exact same desire that I had to drink is the exact same desire I used not to drink. Okay, and actually,
Yeah, I agree.
we go from, this is how easy it is if you want to keep it simple as it can be. I went from not drinking, I went from drinking to not drinking, like that. And
Yeah.
everybody does. Everybody does. Uh, Now, if you drink again, then you're drinking. But then you're not drinking. Or then you're drinking. But I went from not drinking to not drinking. And it happens in the now. That's the only
Yeah.
way it happens. It happened for me. You know, in Alcoholics Anonymous, they talk about you got to get through the 12 steps to have a spiritual awakening. That's not true. I had the first spiritual awakening the day I said yes to help. I said yes. And that yes was a spiritual awakening. And I let go and got help. Now, the help was the pointer. I had to go and do something. Nobody's putting you on that mic. You're
No.
going to the mic. It's your effort. It's your effort. So you're doing it, and it's coming from within. It's coming from within you. So you were doing it. You can give credit to anybody you want. Doesn't matter. I don't care who you give credit to, but actually, you know what we lack sometimes? That some of these programs teach us not to give us give ourselves credit, not to look in and say, you know what, I'm proud of myself that I am doing it. Alcoholics Anonymous, you owe your life to alcohol. No, I don't.
Yeah.
Well, you have to help others. And no, I don't. If I want to, I will, but I don't have to. If I want to, I could do what I want. I have a choice today. It took me many years, but we're on the same page. But watch
Yeah.
out for the isms, the isms.
Well, and I think it's important to point out too that there's nothing wrong with having something that does help you find your way, right? While once I took my step, I felt like I just owned it, and like you said, I kind of created my own program, and I believe that. But I had a lot of steps in between, before I got to that point, and for me, it was therapy. I had an amazing therapist that kind of helped me kind of find where I needed to be, and it took me a long time to really understand that. And then once I did, it was like you said, it was instantaneous. Once I took that step into my world, in my direction, and owning what I was about to do, then my whole life changed. But I did still have that person who helped me get there. And I think that's okay.
Hey,
But I think it's
you
like we don't want to have to rely on that the rest of our life, I think is what
no,
we're saying.
no. Your therapist was your pointer. Your therapist pointed you to a way.
Yeah.
Okay, you were the way, but she helped you, or he helped you point the way. Now, don't get me wrong. A power greater than ourselves. Let's talk about that for one little minute.
Yeah.
Mathematically, two is greater than one. Would you
Yeah.
agree?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's two of us. Two, if it's just me, I'm talking, when two of us get together, the power is greater. Three is even greater. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
scientific study. Even successful people know the power of numbers.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm part of this power. I'm not separate from it. I'm part of it. Okay. So I believe in this power greater than myself, but I'm part of this power. It comes from within me. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, and we don't have to believe in a power greater than yourself. You don't have to believe in nothing.
Yeah.
Believe in whatever you want to believe.
Well, Bobby, I'm similar to you too. I don't really feel like I'm a religious type person, but there is a theory out there that talks about, a God and being us, right? Each person being God. Have you heard about that?
Oh
It's
yeah,
kind of,
Wayne Dyer used to talk
yeah,
about it.
it's an interesting concept, and it plays into this. If you need that thing, right, you can still do it within yourself, right? And believe in the power within you that is your own God, right? And use that power to make those decisions and take those steps too.
I call that the higher self.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like that.
I,
Yep.
I call that the higher self. I go within and tap into the higher self, the higher being, the higher consciousness, the awareness, the observer, whatever. And I allow everyone to have their own beliefs. You want to believe in whatever you want to believe. I'm not trying to
Yeah.
discredit. All I'm trying to hopefully do is I'm not trying to tell people to leave AA, because all I'm saying is when you're in a society that you're giving your will and your life over to the care of, please think, question, observe, and become aware of the society that you have chosen to give your will and your life over to. So be very careful. I would suggest, and I make a suggestion because I did it in the beginning, and this is what helped me. In the beginning, early in the beginning, I seeked out other places, spiritual books, group therapy, one-on-one. Definitely, I did a one-on-one group therapy. I did men's meetings. I did ACOA. I did CODA. I did all kinds of different things outside the realm of Alcoholics Anonymous, spiritual books and uh, meditation practices. And that gave me a more of a open mind, and it expands. Once you have an open mind, you can't go back.
Yeah.
It just continues to open if you become aware and want to seek more.
Well, I think it's like anything, the more knowledge you have, the better, right? So if you have, different opinions from all different directions, it's going to only strengthen your resolve, right? So I think it's important to be open to more than just one idea, and to kind of take in everything that you can to help you in your, in your journey. But well, hey, Bobby, listen, we were going to try to keep this a little shorter for the first time. I think we should kind of wrap it up. But is this something you'd want to do again?
Oh, definitely. How about you, John?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think it'd be great.
Yeah.
And I think we can keep kind of exploring some of these ideas. And I'm going to ask anybody who's watching this to go ahead and comment and let us know what you think, or if your thoughts on these. I mean, whether you agree with us or not, I think it's all important to, information to hear and to see from different opinions. But also let us know if you have any questions. We can try to answer those. And I think Bobby and I will maybe kind of continue a little series here about different avenues with alcoholism and sobriety and recovery, and see if we can cover a lot of different topics, and you guys can throw those topics at us. So comment what you think. Ask questions if you have them, and I think another thing we'd like to talk about moving forward is the idea of whether or not a program is necessary for everyone. I think that's another topic out there that's kind of controversial that there's a lot of opinions on. And, again, no, I don't think any opinions are right on that one either. Right. So it just depends on what you take from it and what you can put into your own path in sobriety and recovery. So, well, Bobby, listen, I think, thank you so much for doing this. It's great to kind of chat with somebody, and it's not face to face, but it's pretty darn close. I
Yeah.
think it,
Hey, this is Bobby C., a friend in recovery and beyond. And I'm happy I hooked up with John, and I hope I see everybody on another episode, another podcast. And believe what you want to believe, but think, question, observe, and become aware.
all right. Thank you, Bobby. I appreciate it so much. We'll talk again real soon. Bye.